As of today, lazer supports metals. Well, most of them.
The Hush Hush ones are currently in development, and at the point of this release, everything that isn't one of the hidden metals is now going to be achievable.
So if I've only played on lazer and say I've met a bunch of metal conditions already, is it possible I could earn like 20 metals at once?
Potentially, yes. Yep. One of the reasons I wanted to rewrite Stable was implementing this metal display. It was a pain in the ass using Stable's graphics system because there was no concept of containers, and this animation has like multiple things appearing and scaling together. So when we started to write OS framework and lazer, it was one of the tests which I wanted to make sure was very easy to write, and from a code perspective it made sense. We're using that just because it was already implemented, and the newer design that Light has for us, not everyone is on board with it yet. Someone made a argon styled metal animation on Reddit, and that one looks pretty cool.
Argon is lazer's default skin, and it received some big changes today too. First, the PP counter. This one is created to fit with Argon, so you don't have to use this ancient one anymore. Plus, you no longer need to add it from the skin editor, it's built in now. And second, Nekodex, the developer who's just also a musician, completely redesigned Argon's hit sounds.
The approach that I took when creating them was that I took the existing legacy sounds from like Stable and tried to match it as best as I could while still trying to make it sound kind of fresh and new. A lot of the samples are a bit shorter than the legacy ones, which means in longer, more rapid streams and whatnot, it should sound a little less noisy. That was something that was worth doing, seeing as like since the legacy sound set was created, beatmaps have kind of gotten progressively harder, so things have kind of gotten a bit more dense. So,
and here's a few more new sounds in Argon: combo break, spinners, and the fail sound.
Honestly, it was pretty straightforward, and I didn't go too creatively off the rails for this.
You say it was straightforward, but it was also several months of work.
Like, creatively straightforward. There are a few things that like ways that I could potentially improve it, but with anything creative, you can like work on things for infinite time and still not be happy. So.
Even before this update, you could already get to song select by hitting PPP from the main menu, but this update adds M to go to multiplayer, S for settings, E for editor, and L for playlists. Also, apparently being too fast at tapping would lead to some inputs not being detected. That's not a problem anymore. Here's some more random stuff. In multiplayer, you can hover here to see difficulty info. The F rank had a quick redesign. Opening mod select has a new animation. It kind of scrolls in from the side to show that you can scroll to the side. Mod search is a bit smarter now. And all settings with the muted mod now give PP. You might have expected PP for more of these mods by now, but progress is hard. I remember Spaceman said like, we still aren't done cleaning up after the PP release. Is that true?
That is still true, unfortunately.
Let's talk about the big picture. Lazer's had a lot of solid forward progress recently through the whole PP release, securing leaderboards, and a billion major features that the community's been asking for. All of this was so that Lazer would be better, obviously, and so that people would be willing to give Lazer a chance. And now that people are giving it a chance and systems are live, that's created a ton more work for developers. So this update was, by force, focused on fixing broken stuff. And nothing was more broken than this.
Yeah, after the last release, people started to report their gameplay seeking backwards for one frame. We just couldn't figure out how this was happening. The major change we made in the last release was the change to replay playback.
You can skip around and it loads significantly faster.
Eventually I was able to rule that out, and the theory was that because we made this change, this bug was more noticeable, but the bug has been around forever. Prior to the previous release, it would only seek backwards 80 milliseconds max. The replay catch-up was limited per frame. But with the new changes, it was seeking back the full amount, 5 to 11.85 seconds, depending on the user's CPU.
And how did you, solve the problem?
So I spent 3 or 4 days investigating this. Eventually, I gave up. We did the hotfix release and I added extra logging so we could try and figure out the root cause. We still haven't 100% fixed it because there is some kind of framework side issue with what we call the decoupling block. But we've basically fixed all the OS side issues which are causing this, so it is now no longer an issue and we can call it closed.
Of course, not every problem is that complicated. Most bug fixes in this update are the tiniest of tiny things that don't need much attention, like the accuracy wireframe was misaligned, this low pass filter could get stuck, scrolling through replays could cause slider tick misses, and there's 20 more fixes just like these in this update. They're essentially all things that people expected to work one way, but they didn't, so they were reported and developers fixed them. This just shows how hard it can be to maintain momentum when there's so many small tasks to deal with.
Ollie Bombi has so much stuff in the queue. I really want to get to that soon. Stuff like proper sample assignment for sliders. Stuff that's all been done, but just no one has the time to review it right now. We're kind of focused on fixing all the remaining gameplay issues first. The joys of running a live system or 2 live systems at once.
Continuing from the last update, Avast has been carrying Lazer's performance with complex allocation changes, most obviously seen through heavy storyboard maps like this. Smoogie is also deep into implementing a new Veldred renderer, which will hopefully be ready to talk about by next release, and stuttering issues introduced by the recent .NET 8 upgrade have been resolved.
Oh, that's one I missed. You can double click a file and it will open Lazer now.
I just assumed all programs could do that by default. So I guess for Lazer it doesn't even matter since you can just download maps in game.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I think that's it, to be honest.